Welcome back to Algo Capital FX. In today's video, we're putting my automated SMA strategy to the test on the Forex pair gold. This strategy is designed for the 1 hour time frame, and I'll explain exactly how it works in simple terms before we dive into the backtest. The idea behind this strategy is very straightforward. We use two simple moving averages, a short SMA and a long SMA. When the short SMA crosses above the long SMA, we open a long position. When it crosses below, we open a short position. For this setup, the short SMA length is set to 13 and the long SMA length is set to 49. New trade signals are calculated on the 1 hour time frame to give us higher quality entries. We're also using a 160 period EMA as a trend filter. This means we only take long trades when the price is above the 160 EMA and only short trades when it's below. Risk per trade is set at 1%. We're using a fixed stop loss of 200 points and the take profit is set at 3R. That's a 3-to-1 reward to risk ratio. There's also a trailing stop function. It activates automatically once the trade reaches 1.3% profit and then trails 0.9% behind the current price. Trades are closed either when the stop loss is hit or when the SMA crossover happens in the opposite direction. The rest of the process is fully visual. You'll see the take profit and stop loss levels clearly displayed during the backtest. Alright, let's jump into the visual backtest of gold on the 1 hour time frame. I'll walk you through a few trades so you can see exactly how this strategy plays out. First example, the SMA crosses bullish, triggering a long trade. Instantly, you'll see the stop loss and 3R take profit levels appear. Watch closely. As soon as the price hits that 1.3% profit, the trailing stop kicks in on that big candle. Eventually, the trade closes when the trailing stop is hit. Next trade, same setup. The SMA crosses bullish, a long trade opens, and once again, the trailing stop is triggered after reaching 1.3% profit. This trade closes shortly after. Of course, not every trade is a winner, and you'll see some examples of that too. But when the odds line up, the results can be very strong. Here's a bearish crossover. A short trade opens, and the trailing stop activates. As the price moves further down, the stop loss trails lower, locking in profits. This trade plays out perfectly, hitting the full 3R take profit and closing with a 3% gain. Let's take a closer look at a few more examples to really understand how this strategy plays out in different situations. In this example, we can clearly see a bearish crossover forming, which signals a short trade entry. As always, the same rules apply here. Once a trade reaches the 1.3% profit target, the trailing stop automatically kicks in. Notice what happens next. The price initially moves in our favor, giving us a solid unrealized profit. But then, towards the end of the trade, the market begins to reverse quite aggressively. Without the trailing stop in place, all of that profit could have easily disappeared, leaving us with little to nothing, or even a potential loss if the reversal had continued further. This trade is a perfect example of why the trailing stop feature is so powerful. It helps lock in gains while still giving the trade enough breathing room to run. Instead of trying to manually manage the position, the system handles it automatically, protecting the profit we've already built up. Now let's move on to the final example. Here we get another clean bearish crossover, which again triggers a short position. As the trade develops, the trailing stop is activated once the 1.3% target is reached, and it begins following the price very closely. This dynamic trailing behavior ensures that if the market suddenly changes direction, the trade will be closed out automatically. Now, let's look at the 10-year backtest to see the overall performance. Over 10 years of data, this SMA strategy shows very strong results. A total return of around 160%, an average of 16% per year, and a maximum drawdown of just 6%. And remember, these strategies are fully automated. Once they're running, you don't need to touch them again. That's it for today's test. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss future strategy tests. This is Algo Capital FX. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.